Hello, Daniel.
How are we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
And we're back.
We are back for yet another video every single day of the week, like the BBC News. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us ahead of the exciting preview of Everton's trip to Fleetwood Town tomorrow for the second leg of the regional North-South divide. Second round of the Football League Cup. Does it have a sponsor name this year? I don't know.
Not sure.
No. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right, mate. Not too bad. I'm actually a bit excited that we've got this game because I feel like it couldn't come a better time because we need lifting. Spirits are a bit like down. And to get a nice, I don't want to curse it, but to get a team that we could actually get a few goals against could be massive for us, couldn't it? Up the Twitter toffees. Love it.
Up the Twitter toffees.
How you doing, mate?
How you doing?
Off the Twitter, on the channel, you know what I mean?
All right, Alfie. Dan's taking a break from Twitter. Things are a bit last minute. I suppose it's because, I think I kind of said the aim is going to be not to talk about all the kind of things, but my God, what is going on Everton Twitter today? We've lost someone on the fan advisory board mere weeks in. There's talk there's all things flying left, right, and centre. There's Mohamed Kudus might not be coming. Scott McTominay might. Everton have entered fresh talks with PSG over Idrissa Gana Gueye. What is going on, Daniel?
It's crazy, isn't it? It is crazy. It's too much to handle for me. I just thought I'd come off for the day. Not too much to handle. I can handle it, but there's no. It's just, I don't know, mate. I really don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of them, and that's why I said the game couldn't come at a better time because Everton haven't got a striker.
No.
Everybody is angry that Everton haven't got a striker. So everybody's in a bad mood from that.
Do you think this is an opportunity for Salomon Rondon to step up and fill the DCL-shaped void?
Well, we'll go for our teams and stuff like that, but I generally, even if Rondon played good in this game, it still doesn't answer the question for what we probably need in the Premier League, does it? And I'm not saying, because it's a cup game against a weaker team, we probably, even if Rondon has a good game, we probably need someone better in the striker position for the actual Premier League game, don't we?
Yeah. Having that kind of... I mean, they say that for every division you go down, it's one or two goals in the bank. But, so even if someone's not necessarily... we are joined by Jonathan. If he's ready, just give us a thumbs up. I'll add him on. I can see he's just sorting his camera out there. Got to say a big welcome and thank you to everyone. Just sending your comments as always. We will like and subscribe. That's
an interesting one that someone's just written there. Can Cannon get a game against Fleetwood? Can he or not?
David's just mentioned, can he? You'd think with him being youth player, is it a permanent move up or can we play him in the cup? Anyway, we'll add Jonathan and see what he has to say. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi guys, how are you?
Mate? Very good.
How are you, boys? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Love listening to the stream you had the other day about mental health. Obviously, very important topic. So pleasure to join you guys on this one. Got Fleetwood coming up. I'd like to see it as an opportunity for some of our newer players to sort of have the chance to gel together and start building that chemistry. So I'd like to see the likes of Vinagre play, have Onana have another chance. Obviously, he's going to be a vital part of our squad throughout the whole season. So it'd be nice to see him back to actually start the game. And I think you said, Dan, the other day that when someone comes on as a substitute, it sort of takes time to get into the flow of things, and if you start the game, then you're in a very different mindset. So I think it'd be nice to see him start, and also I'd like to see Dele Alli start, because I think last season he was pretty useless and he really didn't offer anything of note at all. However, I think especially at the moment, if we don't have a striker, and we're really lacking going forward. I think to give him a run out and try and improve or to gel with some of the new players, just to have a bit of forward momentum. So I'd like to see him play as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a good shout because, as you say, if we're sort of resorting to the last minute or the last line of defence in terms of who we're going to play, yeah, we are up the proverbial creek without any Rondon, any Kone, yeah, anything. No, not even an Umar Nias. It's interesting that you said that, Jonathan. It's a very good point. Like, because to maybe get some of the younger players in. I mean. Or to see how we can play with potentially easing Gabamin back in, even, or whether Nkunku has an opportunity there with Vinagre. But it also raises the question of, which is a question we're asked every week: what formation do we play?
I think the five at the back we've been trying out, and whether or not it's actually been working with the other players being able to push up a bit more. I think it wasn't very effective against the Notts Forest, and we didn't really utilise it well. So maybe if we played a three at the back with our three centre backs and try and push forward more and try and exert some of our forward momentum out of these players and see what players can actually attribute to a more attacking style. So if we played our other players and put them in a more attacking role, see what we can do. Because realistically, I know we're Everton and we tend to bottle it against these teams. Like we saw a few seasons ago against Hull, and we had some shaky performances in the cup.
Evening, Nicky.
Hi, Nicky. But I think it would be nice to see some of these players show a bit more of their forward style of play and see if we can, get some goals moving forward. Because realistically, it should not be difficult to score against Fleetwood, and it should be a very comfortable game, a walk in the park. So let's try and see what we can actually do here, and just have a bit of fun with it.
I mean, obviously, I don't want to shove Dan out of it. Like you're straight in there, very good points. But in terms of just covering Fleetwood really quickly, to an extent, being League One, I'm not going to, it's impossible to sit here and consume all the footballing content and know how every single team's doing. But just the last three games they've played in League One. Thanks for joining us, guys. Numbers creeping up as well, Jason. Really appreciate it.
Hi, Jason.
Evening. He says evening. Also, Jonathan. He says if we get injured and we don't get a striker before Saturday, we're stuffed. Yeah, that's a very good point. So they last played Derby. Before that, Cheltenham. And then before that, they were away to Morecambe. Now, Cheltenham are like bottom of League One. The last two home games, home to Derby, they lost. They drew 0-0. Cheltenham, they drew 0-0. They scored one away to Morecambe with a hell of a lot of possession. They seem to be a team that that are kind of struggling. And, the last game against Derby, they only had 7 shots. Now, despite what people might say about what Rooney was doing at Derby and how they've gone through a bit of the ringer, they've got some recognisable players. Ones that you go, oh, yeah, I remember them, or they didn't quite make it at these teams. So, they had low possession. They committed a lot of fouls. And I mean, just before that, I don't know whether it will still apply, but their winger, Paddy Lane, got a straight red card in the first league game that they played after beating Wigan, of all teams, in the first round of the EFL Cup. They beat Wigan 1-0 with one shot on target. I did watch the highlights of that game, though, to be fair. And
must have been a short video.
And there was a few good. And one thing I've got to point out, their keeper, Jay Lynch, seems to be, he's not sort of top level vying for anything like that, but he seems to be on the ball. He knows what he's doing, and he's not some sort of old guy. So as you're saying, yeah, why not? The game is there for the taking. They seem to be not really a threat. It's not like they're vying for the top of the league on the ascendancy. They're sort of mid to lower end of the table. Obviously, only it's early days, but they played Cheltenham, who have been poor. And even though they beat Wigan, Wigan were all over the shop. So yeah, as you're saying, we need to push forward and see who would you play then, Dan, up front? Because Jonathan makes a good point to see how Dele Alli gels, and whether there is any truth that he's going to Besiktas or not. The results needed, isn't it? Especially if we're protecting players from potentially pointless encounters and tackles that we're going to face in the league.
I'm not sure who like I said, I'll go through my team, but I'm 50-50 on who the up front position is the position that I'm like massively debating on because obviously I want to play Rondon, but I also am thinking he's not going to last a full game. So do we give McNeil a chance in this game to get more out of McNeil because he hasn't played in the other games that much, has he? And we've still got to bed him in, and we can't just forget about him.
Nev seems to think that Allen, Gabamin, Begovic, Keane, Coleman, and Warrington, Lewis Warrington will all start. Tom Cannon's the only other forward option.
Just seeing, Jan, I just seen what you said earlier on. I didn't read about it, so I don't know the details. Someone commented it saying what's happening with Kudus. What is happening with him generally?
Apparently, it was obviously only reported in the media. There was nothing official from the club. So that has been, I think, Alan Myers or someone or somebody of some repute was saying it's not necessarily a done deal that you might think. It's just what's been reported, and Ajax coach has been reported as saying urging him not to leave. So
he played. I seen that he played, and he won all of his duels, and he had the best 20 minutes when he come on of his life, and it's probably going to make them keep him, which I was fuming about because it does make me think. If we would have pushed on the deal quick and got it done before he was going to be good and do that to show him that he's good enough to stay, then we could have actually got onto him early. So I'm a bit gutted on that because listening to that, it makes you think that they're not going to want to let us have him because he's probably shown them that he's got something about him.
However, if we start with Begovic in goal, it means we could play Jordan Pickford up front because he's actually got the most assists in our team so far this season. So you never know. Have Pickford, give him a run out up top, see what he can do.
I would try Michael Keane up front. I've been saying it for ages. Michael Keane up front.
Pickford does have the slick back Dixie Dean style haircut, though. So he's straight in there. But Blue Stew makes a good point. Just as you made about Rondon, if we played Delhi, what happens if he was to get injured? Would that end up costing us 10 million? Simply because we're not going to sell him.
Well, we got him on a free, didn't we? So, I mean, he's a bit. I don't think he's that good anyway. Like last season, he was very, very poor. He didn't really offer anything at all. I think it was the final game of the season. He had one useful touch where he sent the ball towards goal. But I really don't think there's anything of note from his performances. So, to be honest, I know it would be money if we sold him, but I can't see many people actually putting in that higher bid for him. So if he's to get injured, I think he'd be more use trying to see if we can get anything out of him. And especially if he can't do anything against Fleetwood, then we just know that he won't be an option moving forward. So it could be a bit of a academic or learning opportunity for us as well and see who gels well together or if any players actually need to be let go or what happens. So I think it would be more use playing him and seeing if there is anything to offer than risking a sale value on him.
I mean, Brian says Lamps doesn't like Delhi, but Peter is throwing in something for you there, Dan. Why don't we try Michael Keane up front? He scored a record-breaking 3 own goals in a year.
He smashes the ball in the net with sliding tackles. It's hard to score from a sliding tackle. He scores headers. He scored against Crystal Palace. He's shown more scoring form than any of our strikers. So maybe Michael Keane up front would be a good option. But let's face it, that's a joke. That's never going to happen, is it? So to the people in the comments, right, seeing your comment, cracking comments, I've just seen someone say something about Diaz. Interesting that he didn't sign the contract. I agree with you completely. Whether we're going to get him or not, I don't know. Does that mean that he's not signed his contract? Obviously he's pushing for a move. I heard that what sum is it, Jan? Is it about 10 million or something like that? Someone's already offered. So he's not going to be cheap, is he?
I'm not sure. It's what do you think of Ben Brereton Diaz not signing the deal for Blackburn? Do we might go in for him now? Well, I mean,
they're doing something, ain't they? They are doing something now. It's the reason it's gone quiet. Something's happening, and if they don't, then they're in trouble with the way our fans are today.
Jason says we used to play Steve Watson as a striker. Jeff says play Tom Cannon up front. Eugene, similar vein, says to play some of the under-21s tomorrow, like Tom Cannon. And Hugh says play Onana up top. Or play
While we're on the topics of
It's going to be interesting to see if he just 2 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see you both expand on this. If, like, obviously with a game coming so soon in the Premier League and that game being so important to us, with us not starting well, will he rest a lot of players? It's like, do you play them to get form out of them, or do you rest them to get full form out of them over the weekend? There's one for you. What do you think on that?
Well, I mean, we've seen things happen in the Cup before. The Cup's a magical thing. It's a wonderful game. And the point is, anything can happen. But it's Fleetwood. And obviously, I don't watch them week in, week out. However, we should be able to comfortably beat them. Whether or not that's a full starting 11 or whether it's other players coming in and our substitutes, we should be able to comfortably beat them. Obviously, you can have a few of our starters on the bench to come on and bring an impact if we need that. But to be honest, if you're playing in the Premier League and you're part of a top team, you should be able to make this impact against the other ones. So it'd be nice to see a run out from some of the players who we don't get to see often, even play Begovic, give Pickford a rest. And again, we don't want to risk any injuries because our squad is so injury prone at the moment. Obviously, we lost Godfrey and Mina in the first fixture of the game, which is a huge blow. So hopefully we can rest some of them and again, give some of the youngsters or some of our new signings a chance.
Well, in the Cup, sometimes some of these players in the lower leagues, they can be quite dirty. I'm not disrespecting teams in the lower leagues because some teams are really, really good in the lower leagues.
It's because they're up for it.
Yeah, I love this Cup, but they do, obviously, because Premier League players have got a little bit faster and sharper. It's well known that's proven. That they need to kind of go in harder and put them off their game. So in a Cup game, I wouldn't risk our players getting injured going on to what you've just said.
Having said that, Brendan does say that, from our point of view, rather than an opposition point of view, that might be what we're sort of missing. Not that we get very much luck in terms of physicality and rest decisions. The last time we signed Championship striker was Jermaine Beckford, and he was brilliant for us for a season. And Diaz is a proven scorer. So,
well, if you look at, I think it was Villa who wanted to try and sign him, ex-Premier League player and now a Championship player. That is Ismaila Sarr from Watford. Their deal fell through, so maybe that could be a potential signing that we look at. And again, it'd be someone who can actually be a striker, and maybe something to prove as well.
Kevin Kraft just said Diaz is a must. He rates him highly. So, got it for that. We've just got to get him, haven't we? We've just got to get him. It'd be good. I thought about this earlier on, but obviously we need a striker desperately. Imagine if you could offer him a contract, Diaz, at the end of the season because his contract's coming up, and get him signed now, but to come on a free at the end of the season.
Like a pre-contract agreement to let him...
Imagine that. Yeah. I'm thinking I don't want to pay 10 million, so I'm thinking, imagine if you could actually do that where you say, play for them this season, but you've got it signed in a pre-contract agreement that at the end of the season, when your contract's up, you come to us on a free. That'd be good business from us, wouldn't it? But obviously we need him now.
That Senegalese player, Bamba Dieng, his name's a lot longer than that. That's his nickname, Bamba. But Kevin suggests that Watkins at Villa may be on his way out. I mean,
I would love to see Ollie Watkins. I think he's a very good player, and he would actually fit very well in our team, I think.
I just think it's too good to be true. We ain't going to get him off Gerrard, and we ain't going to get him that easily because he is.
Gerrard. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he ain't going to let us. He wouldn't let us have Patterson. So imagine what he's going to be like negotiating around 30 million for Watkins. He'll probably charge us about 60. That'll be like we'll be paying 10 million on top of the Gordon money just to get Watkins.
He doesn't like people stopping his mates picking the tunes at a karaoke bar. So 30 million.
I have got
hay
fever, by the way. I'm not like frigging snorting coke or anything. I've just gone on like a complete hay fever attack. Do you know what I mean? I seen that one on who's the woman that goes on the sports channel? She said she yawned under the table or something like that, and they all said she did coke on the channel or something like that. So I was just pointing out I've got hay fever.
You want about Amber Heard in her defence trial again?
I don't know who it was. No, it was someone else on sports channel. They just went like
that. Dan, you did walk off camera there.
I've got hay fever. I keep blowing my nose, but I'll carry on. I'll battle it out. Don't worry. I'm a Evertonian.
You're falling apart, Dan. It's your back.
My nose gone red.
It's not white.
When it gets me. I live in the country now, don't I? And I've got hay fever, so...
Oh, Stanley Mills, Brendan's talked about here.
Yeah, I want him.
Mills starting tomorrow. He played well all pre-season, yeah.
I was thinking him as well, But I was thinking, like, playing right, but then I realised Coleman's got to play right back because Coleman needs some game time. So obviously, where'd you play him? Like, that's a question for you both.
Jeff says it's not allowed though, Dan. Foreign clubs can sign pre-contract players in January, but we'd have to wait until July. Jonathan might be having connection issues. He is in a foreign land.
Said something to him, went off in a strop.
Yeah, it's all right.
Got angry.
Mark said, it's lovely to see everyone as well. Thanks for joining us.
My nose is like hay fever big time.
Oh, yeah, Peter. I mean, we're all coming up with the regular things of don't like Gerrard, don't like this, talking about never doing drugs in your life. I mean,
no, I haven't ever done them either.
This has sort of devolved into my God.
But generally, like my hay fever's just come on during the channel, so I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, no, of course, whatever you say. Jonathan is still here. I think it's just his camera. Are you still
yeah,
with
hi
us,
guys.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right.
To Mark Johnson, shalom as well. Their culture. There we go. Sorted.
There we go.
Sweet.
Is there anything to talk about, Fleetwood? Well, Julian says come here to get away from vile Everton Twitter.
Yeah. I've had a day off. Do you know where someone says have a day off? I've had a day off.
Yeah. Mark's just said, is there anything to talk about in Fleetwood in terms of their team? Well, like I said, they've got a fairly decent centre back that's out. They're down to their bare bones. They've got a relatively small team in terms of that. So I think they'll be hungry to try and go for another scalp because they knocked Wigan out in the last round, got a 1-0 with, to be fair, it was a poorly defended corner that they just sort of scrabbled for. And it was a bit of a weak header that was down onto the ground into the corner. They had a few good shots, hit the post. But, you know, we're going back about 2 weeks now, and they played a lot of games in quick succession. And since then, they drew 1-1 away to Morecambe. They lost 0-0 at home to Cheltenham and lost 0-0. Drew 0-0. How can you lose 0-0? I mean, Everton could probably find a way. Drew 0-0 at home to Cheltenham and to Derby. And, you know, it's been very much pedestrian. They've not had very many passes. They've had lower possession. They've been they've committed more fouls. They've had fewer shots on target. So all this to me suggests a team that even in their own league are struggling. So I think as a lot, John's just said here, it's a good chance to see his Tom Cannon up front for us. I mean, why not? Because I was picking the team here and I listed all the players, doing my prep, got all the injuries out of the way. And, with what we've got, the defence sort of picks itself, but we've got to, do we go for a strong copper on and risk jeopardising, the injury status of some of the players or their ability to be sold, because no one wants to buy an injured player, unless, of course, you're Everton. Or do we, do we try and mix it up and crash ingraciously out of a cup against a very lower league side? But yeah, I mean, if it's on the youngsters and we don't win, then at least he's tried something new, rested the players for the focus on the league. So
this might be an unpopular opinion, but usually in the past, I've always been up for the cup, and I think it's like the most exciting part of Everton's season because realistically, recently we haven't really been challenging for anything, or Europa League or Champions League or anything, or dare I say it, the title. But usually the cup is like the most exciting because it's probably the biggest chance we have of winning anything. However, I think after the scare of last season and this season probably going to be an uphill battle as well, I'm not too bothered about the cup this season. And obviously I want us to focus on securing our place in the league and trying to build our reputation back up and having a strong team. So I'd rather see us put up a good fight and maybe try some new players, for example, Tom Cannon, and have our new signings just have a runabout and like try and gel more. And obviously I hope we do win it, and we should against Fleetwood, but I'm not too bothered about the cup run this year. And I'm
the opposite. I'm like, the cup's massive to me this season because I actually feel like we've got a chance. Thanks for that as well, big time. It helps us with the channel. What was I going to say about the cup? Yeah, the cup. I think that we've actually got a chance in these cups. The reason being is because we've got good defenders that can. Normally, if you're quite solid, you can get quite far in the cup if you've got good defenders. But on what you said about playing younger players, I still think play younger players, but I expect them to beat Fleetwood because Lampard's this season, this pre-season, Lampard's used a lot of the younger players, so they should be up to standard this time. And if they come in, they should be ready because they are closer to the first team than what they was a bit back. So,
Dan, you've got competition here for your propensity for. Kevin says if we lose the game, Jeff, he'll take his kit off in his street.
I just seen Kevin's just gave me. He said drink herbal tea or something for hay fever. So cheers, Kevin. I'll do that. I'll try it just for you.
Brendan said he'd love to join the channel. Is this for the bands?
We got bants.
Oh, I don't know where Jonathan's gone.
What do you think on that, Jan? Like I say, the cup. I do think we've got a chance in the cup this season. I feel like we haven't got. The league will be steady, and the cup. I just feel like go for it because it'd make everything better if we won the cup. Last season, I get what he was saying. When we was in the cup, we was in a relegation battle, and I was thinking the same then. Just go out of it if you are in a relegation battle. But because we're not actually in a relegation battle yet, and we've only played 3 games. Yeah. I think we should go for it in the cup just in case we are safe mid-table and can go all guns blazing in the cup to actually win something because that's what we need. That's what us Evertonians need to make everybody happier as a cup because a cup lasts for about 2-3 seasons, doesn't it, to make you happy? Look at Arsenal.
Jason says he's always up for the cups, but then again, he's old. Whereas Hugh says we don't have a chance and he seems to think that you're delusional.
I am, but you love it. You know what I mean? You've got to be delusional to be an Evertonian, haven't you?
Jeff said nettle tea. But what I would say in relation to
nettles or nettle tea.
Nettle
Don't
tea.
get me eating nettles.
In relation to your hay fever, Dan, get some local honey.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to go and chase some bees around the field or something.
He says,
I found myself funny. Yeah.
Jeff seems to think that was harsh from you. You know. I can't. I don't want to like neg you or get you down, Dan. I don't know whether I'm as optimistic when it gets to the final rounds and it gets to the sort of the business end of the cup. You know, do we really have it? Only if the teams that are involved aren't playing for anything else and put out a strong team. Kevin says stinging nettle tea. You have to go pick them, add them to a teapot, leave them to steep, pour the tea in a regular cup. Works wonders for all.
Stinging nettles? Is that a joke?
No,
they sting you when you pick them up. The stinging nettles.
Not if you wear gloves, Dan, or you do it by the stem and you pull it in the right way.
Don't they sting you on the stem?
Jason says the League Cup's a strange one this year. I'm not.
They love this. They love this. People in the comments love a bit of banter. Get them in a good mood. Put smiles on people's faces. That's the reason I've come off Twitter. Sting nettles. I'll go and grab some and put them in a tea. But I swear I'm going to get poisoned if I drink
some loratadine for hay fever.
Sting nettle tea. I have had hay fever tablets.
We don't really know. And we are joined again by Jonathan.
I know. By the way, boys, the donation from Mark, it says up the toffees in Hebrew, but just to let you know what it means. But come on, up the toffees.
I can't. My dad can read that. I can. If it's in a different alphabet, I'm afraid it's a bit lost to me.
I can't even read the alphabet. You know what I mean? Never mind that one. So thanks for telling me what that meant. But thanks for that as well. Like I said, I did say, we always got to thank people when they do that because they don't have to. But the fact they put themselves out and do that is amazing.
Yeah, it means a lot, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. What would you boys think about our new signings? I know it's been a very, very short so far, and we've only had 3 games. But who's impressed you so far, or what would you like to see more of? Because I think Vinagre hasn't really had a good chance. But what we've seen of him, I think he is excellent. So I'd really like to see him start against Fleetwood. Who's impressed you so far?
I would start Viagra because I think he'll be up for it.
I think that will be up for it. Not Viagra, but
no, he is good though. He is good. He's like. He ain't Sterling, but he's like that. He's so small you can't tackle him. He's very. Do you know those players with low Messi was a perfect example. Not saying he's Messi, but do you know where they've got low gravity? They can move in different directions. Where when they run at you, you're buggered. So I would love to see him, see what he can do because I do feel like Mikalenko's good enough, but you also do need to keep him informed just in case Mikalenko gets an injury or you do want to swap him in general. It's massive that there is competition in these places.
A lot of people in the comments are saying they would start Keane. I've gone off Michael Keane a lot. I think he's been very shaky, and I would say he could be the cause for most of our problems last season in defence. I think he creates too much of a space for people to run into. He's more reactive than proactive. He sees someone run past and then he's like, oh, I need to go and chase it, by which point it's too late. So even if we are giving other players a bit of a run out, I don't think Keane would be the way forward. I think he's a bit past it. And too many mistakes have been made by him for my liking.
If you do play Michael Keane up front, though, and he scores a hat-trick, Chelsea are after a centre-back, ain't they? They can't get Fofana, so they might come in for Michael Keane if he proves himself up front.
Jonathan,
that's a big if.
Jonathan makes a good point because, you know, I understand that it's a conversation that I've had with my dad and some fans near me. And Brian just says Keane has no confidence and slow decisions. There we go. Kevin says he tends to panic. Good Jewish boy says Keane has one speed setting, slow, slow of thought and sound mind. Yeah, you're right, Jonathan. I would say that I don't want to identify, victimize, and vilify any particular players. But when he is playing, he's, you know, even if you can't blame someone for own goals because they're trying to jump in and block the ball, you know, it's still he's there or thereabouts been responsible for a lot of cock-ups and mistakes last season, which I think has been the reason why, and the unreliability of Mina in terms of his dependability for injury record is why we went out and got Tarkowski and Cody. Now, if we're still in the process of solidifying that chemistry in the back, the centre backs, I don't really care who we play as long as we win, as long as there's some chemistry, as long as there's some. There was what I saw from Forest was a huge step forward in terms of our desire and hunger and drive into the box and attacking the sort of final third.
There's a reason we brought in Tarkowski and Connor Cody, and it was because Lampard's seen the errors and the sort of holes in the team that we needed to replace, and he's done a good job of replacing them and sorting that. But if we are to then bring Michael, I know we're talking about resting players, but there's a difference between resting players and giving other players a chance than bringing the team down and actually hindering our performance. Because we can bring in new players and the youth team and actually still get a very good team out. But that doesn't mean we have to bring in players that we're trying to... It sort of undoes the work that we've already done by bringing in these new players, because the whole point of replacing Michael Keane is because we saw the problems that he caused, and we're trying to move forward. So if we were to bring him back in, it's just going to hinder us in the game against Fleetwood. And it could end up losing the game there.
I've just seen someone in the comments that is actually a fan of Michael Keane. It's Dave Weston. He's just said, commenting that something that massively, he's a big fan of Michael Keane by what he's put.
What you mean? I've seen Super Tanker chips turn quicker than Michael Keane.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It made me
turning
chuckle.
Circle of a bus. Yeah,
it made me chuckle. We've got to play him though. He's going to play, isn't he? He's going to play. I know what you're saying, but he's going to play. If you're not going to play him in a cup-like game like this, then you've got to sell him.
I've got a nice ring tang there if it comes up on camera there, but loving it.
You've got to sell him if you're not going to play him. Though. Do you not agree?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not sure who would want him, but I think he's just in the team because no one's shown any interest. But I'm against him playing. I don't want to be negative about him, but he's caused a lot of mistakes, and obviously we have given. I have. I don't want to speak for the rest of the team, but I've given Iwobi and Rondon some stick over the past. But they've proven themselves, I think, and they can be an asset to the team. They're obviously not the best players that we've had, but I think they do give something to the team that can actually be of use. Whereas Michael Keane, I really don't see what he's given recently. I know we haven't this season played him, but most of the times he's on the pitch, there's some sort of mistake or easy error that's being caused. And it just seems to be stemming from his either poor positioning or slow movement, and it just creates holes in the teams that realistically shouldn't be there.
Be nice to give him a good cup run though, because sometimes the cup games are very close to the Premier League games, and it'd be nice. You know, we've seen teams do it before. I think Arsenal used to do it where they have one team for the cup and say that's your competition, and they have another team for the Premier League. Like I said, I'd rather move Michael Keane on. But if you're not going to move him on and he's there, it'd be nice to use him for all the cup games. And then when it gets closer to, maybe make your strongest team then. But I definitely think he could be used if he's not going to be moved on.
Brian agrees with you. Very true there, John. And, you know, that's why you're on the channel. I can't sort of add on it. You know, what you say is bang on. But Dave says it shows how far we've fallen if we're worried about Fleetwood. But and I've got to caveat this, Dave, with no, I don't think we'll remember this. Kevin Brock, Oxford, and that Adrian Heath goal. And my dad mentioned something very similar a couple of years ago when we were in the League Cup, and I believe it's sort of striking a chord with what you're saying there. But yeah, is it the sort of turning point? But
I wouldn't say it's particularly that we're worried about Fleetwood. I think it's just the issue that obviously when it comes to the cup games, all the lower league teams are so up for it because for them, this means that they have no chance of winning Europa League or Champions League or like the Premier League. So I think for these lower teams, the cup means everything to them, and it's their chance to sort of prove themselves and come up against these bigger teams. And obviously when you see lower league teams, not necessarily like League One, but last season we had Boreham Wood, and they're a very local team to where I'm from. And for them, that would mean everything to come to a Premier League stadium, the sponsorship money, the TV licensing, all of that. It means so much to their club. And it's such a huge step for them. So that's why they're always up for it. And I think Premier League teams, they play a weaker side, and it plays right into the hands of the lower league team because they all of a sudden see a chance and an opportunity. If Everton see them as such a weak team, oh, don't worry about them, we'll breeze past Fleetwood, then they'll be like, right, we're up for this, boys. And I think it's all about the mentality, and they're so up for it. And I think that's why there are a lot of teams and like big upsets, because Premier League teams don't rate these lower sides, and that's where they come into play.
Complacency.
I'm normally scared of these lower league teams in the cups because we normally drop to their standard. That's what we normally see.
Yeah.
But with Everton against Blackpool, we didn't. We actually played like we was better players than them against Blackpool. Dele Alli had a really good game, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Dele Alli, because if he doesn't play this game, you know he's completely gone. I mean, if he does play, then it's going to be.
I have an idea. I know. Just to touch on what you said about the mentality that they're hungry, and it's an opportunity to play above their usual realm, isn't it? If they're playing on a national stage, that's going to be, you know, any team that they could play. They could play against Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Spurs, Arsenal, well, anyone in the Premier League as well. If they get to go through to the final rounds, the money that they get divvied out. But my thought was on that, why don't they ever give? I mean, surely it would be a huge, fantastic thing if let's say it was Fleetwood and it was at Goodison. How much money would they be making, knowing that we'd be getting, you know, nearly 40,000? Why not then give them the option to I don't know how it works in spot. I know in certain things that the gate money's divvied up at some point, but why not then give them the option of having a larger fan allocation and hosting it at Goodison to get more money in? If that's, you know, it's a thought there. Oh, so they lose home advantage, but is it not better for the development of the club in the long run? If they think they're going to get beaten at home, why not get beaten away and get the money? Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. There was a comment from Blue Stew 1878 with a team, and I actually think that's a very decent team. It's a mix of our new and old players.
Let's why he's just done this perfect timing, because obviously we're keeping this nice and short because I want to go and watch the Red Shark get battered by Man United. But let's do our team. Jan, do you want to start? I bet you've already got a team, haven't you, as well, Jonathan, in your head?
I've got a rough idea.
Let's make one. And people in the comments,
similar.
Yeah, people in the comments, drop your team now from goalkeeper upwards, and then formation underneath what it is. Would you change your formation? Would you stick with a formation?
I would say Begovic to start. I'd say give Pickford a rest. He's played well, obviously, but Begovic, he can still do the job, especially against a lower league team. And then I'd play Vinagre I probably wouldn't play Keane, but then again, who are you going to play? So maybe Keane and Cody. I definitely think we should either play Tarkowski or Cody, whichever one you would prefer. But I think they're both pretty similar players. Coleman, again, it would be nice to see, and he can absolutely give it his all. And again, we always say that for playing for Everton, you're playing for the shirt and for the fans, and Coleman is a prime example of that. Iwobi, yeah, Alan Gabamin. Don't know if he's going to be fit enough to play the full game. He seems very injury prone. I'd play McNeil up top, give him a run out as a dominant, an actual striker. And then again, as Stu said, Gray, who has given us so much and actually creates chances. Maybe even stick Mikalenko in there because, again, I think his crossing ability, if he could run down the wing and then play the ball into McNeil, I think that would be a decent pairing. And then I would probably say give Rondon a rest because, again, he's a bit unseen about playing a full 90 minutes. So I'd rather him rest up and then play him as an actual striker when we need him.
That makes a lot of sense, really. And Michael seems to think we won't play any players we're hoping to sell in the window.
Do you want me to go with mine, Jan?
Yeah, go for it.
Have you got yours there as well, yeah?
Well, before you do that, I'm just... No, I'll leave you in suspense.
Leave me in
go
suspense.
For it, Dan.
Why? Is there some news?
No, go for it.
Oh, you made me excited. I thought we signed a striker when you said leave me in suspense. Right. Same as you, goalkeeper. Pickford needs a rest, obviously. Just give the other goalkeeper a chance anyway. I'm going to mix it up here. I'm going to go for Vinagre on the left with Mikalenko left centre-back. Michael Keane. No, this is serious. This ain't that bad because they played that against Chelsea, Jan, when we went. They actually played that.
I know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
And then I could tell you what's by your face. Right, here we go. Michael Keane at the side of Mikalenko. Then I'm resting Tarkowski, I'm resting Cody. Then I'm going to go for Holgate. I'm still going to play him. And then I'm going to play Coleman, right wing back. So I do think that my reason on this is on the defence. I'll explain it. Tarkowski, he's played a lot of games. I don't want him to get injured because he is massive for us. Cody is only just coming back. I don't want to give him too many games in a row. So I think a good little rest for that. And he's important as well. And I think these lot that I've just played could benefit. I'd like to see Mikalenko, like you've just said, get a bit more time in defence. So a game would probably benefit his confidence.
I like that.
Yeah, so I'd do that. And then I'd play... Onana's got to start for me because I think he's going to be amazing, but he does need game time to be amazing. He needs to grow. So let him go. And Onana's going to start in this centre midfield with Alan. I'm going to play him with Alan because I want to see Alan as well. This is basically for me. If the players ain't leaving, we've got to play them. That's what I'm thinking.
I would like to see those two as a pairing.
Just bear with me 2 seconds. Phone call. It's my doctor giving me my hay fever tablets.
I would like to see those two as a pairing. I think Alan can be quite backwards sometimes in a sense that instead of trying to search a ball going forward, he can turn around and pass it back and just slow the game down a bit. But I think defensively, he does attribute a lot to us. So maybe Onana playing a more forward role and Alan playing a more defensive role, or Gabamin as well, or Decore. I feel like we've got quite a few defensive midfielders, but Onana is sort of like a more of a cam position potentially. Yeah, and he could actually help a lot going forward. So you're still muted, Dan.
Put me back, sorry. Yeah, this is my twist now. Sorry, my phone went off. I didn't know it wasn't on silent.
No worries.
Detention. What I was going to say, this is my twist, right? I'm actually going to put... We've still got Warrington, haven't we? We haven't sent him anywhere yet, have we?
Yeah, I think still haven't.
No,
he's still Everton into Warrington.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for Allen, Onana and Warrington. Warrington played pre-season, didn't he?
I have to ask if Mark's a little bit... it got in a time machine here.
I know. You haven't let me finish my team.
No, go for it. Well, I'm sorry.
I keep trying to say it.
You were too busy doing your drug deals.
I know. No, I couldn't help it. My phone went off. But no, I'll just say it quick. Because obviously, I always say it and then I off say it and don't say it. But yeah, so in the middle, I've got people might like this. Alan, Onana, and I'm going to play Warrington. I think that'll be a good combination as the three, and then play two attacking players. And attacking players, I'm going to play McNeil, and then I'm going to play strikers. A shitbag, isn't it? Like generally, it is, isn't it? Like striker is.
Dele Alli?
If he's gonna leave, then he doesn't deserve to play, does he? If he's not a future, but that Dele Alli would be a good option, yeah, if we were going to keep him. But
even if we sell him, at least it's a chance to rest players. He can try and give something and see if he's actually worth keeping. It might be an interesting match. That
Warrington did play. It is irritating though, isn't it, Jonathan? The fact that we haven't got a striker to even play in our cup game, like not even a kid.
I don't know how it's actually got to this point. I said this on the last video when I was very frustrated.
I ain't got a striker,
but
I was positive about the team, not about the striker situation. That's what I said to you when we come off it. I said to you, like, I do want a striker, I do, but I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to let it stress me out because they need to sort that out. But
I think that's very poor management. If we know we're selling Richarlison, how are you not lining up a replacement when you know he's our top goal scorer? Like, that leaves us in the shit big time.
Right.
I'm going to go Dele Alli up top. That's my finisher. I'm going to play him up top because I ain't got no one else since Everton's fault.
Enough. Right, Dan,
I'm
going to drop this team. I'm going to drop it. That's it. I'm going to go balls to the wall, state it. We're going to do score predictions super quick, run through it because it is just approaching 10
I ain't going to have time. It's
right?
Cutting it.
My team, and I'm like, quite a few people in the comments have mentioned this. Pickford, number one. If it goes to penalties or 0-0 or a draw, he can save them better than Begovic. I mean, I might be stealing some people's reasoning here, but equally, I wouldn't have thought the need to rest him. Pickford,
going to win.
Shut up. Pickford, Vinagre on the left, Mikalenko as potentially left centre back.
You laughed. Holgate. You laughed.
Right.
Go on.
Right. Vinagre on the. I know I laughed because it's like you copied me.
Oh,
Vinagre
that's why.
Back, Coleman right back to sort of rest Patterson, and also get Coleman match fit again because he's been doing this. He's been getting back to match fitness. And Mikalenko and Holgate as defenders because Mikalenko can defend. Right.
And
in the centre, I've gone for Alan, Davies, and Gabamin. And if he turns out to be crap, drop him and bring in Warrington. McNeil, Gray, and up front, screw it, bring in another youngster, Cannon. That is my team. That should work.
I think the only problem with that is it sounds
no problem.
Do you know, Jan? Do you know where we
defensive though? If we're playing Davies, who did you mention? Davies, Allen, and
Davies, and Gabamin.
If he can't play
all three of those players are very, very slow or defensive, and they're going to be turning around and passing it around the back quite a lot. Whereas I would rather us go forward more and try and bang 3-4 and just get goals left, right, and centre. Like I feel like that's quite a slow defensive team, which I feel like we should be pushing forward.
Yeah, do you know where we had that conversation with Johnny Garside where he said he walked into the room and he said he felt like everyone was laughing at him, but there wasn't. Do you know when you was just laughing about Mikalenko? I thought you was laughing at my selection, but you was laughing because you actually picked the same player.
Yeah, I mean,
in the same position.
I know. Look, I know that team is rubbish. Anana does need game time. People are saying
sack him, sack Jan.
Right. The point I'm making is Onana is on the like. I'm not saying I would start this. I'm just trying to think that the last thing we want is Onana getting injured before he's even fully match fit. If we're listening to Lampard saying the reason why he didn't play.
But surely this is a game where they can build into it more, and it's less pressure, sort of easing into it. So
I like Stanley Mills, and I was thinking Stanley Mills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Stanley Mills in my team. Stanley Mills, if you're watching this, you're in. Jan, I can't believe you've got issues with Onana. I really can't. I'm not going to speak to you after this channel, mate. I really ain't, because you know how much I love Onana, and you dropped him.
I think he is the future of our midfield. I just don't want to risk him on a team that I see as being quite physical and prone to doing a lot of fouls and potentially wanting to take our scalp.
So you love him really, but you're just not playing him because you love him and don't want to hurt him.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all right. I'll let you off. I'll still speak to you.
Wanderlust has said hashtag Jan out.
You won yourself over. You've got me back. You won yourself over. Stanley Mills will be a good addition as well, to be fair. Whoever said that. But I don't know where to play him. I generally don't. I'd love to play Stanley Mills behind the striker. If we actually had a Diaz in now and could play Diaz as a striker, I'd love to play Stanley Mills in the centre midfield behind Diaz because he looks like he's got confidence going forward. And I've seen him score some screamers. So I would play Stanley Mills behind Diaz if we had him.
What's our prediction then, boys?
Quick, we've got to do this quick because I'm going to watch Man United win and I've got to put my bets on.
What's
Man United.
Score? I'm going to go 3-0. I think it should be an easy game. I know the team's not going to look anything like the one I picked, but
just to clarify, 3-0 to Everton, yeah, because you never know with us.
Clarify. Does anyone have a credible team news or tactic to win the game? Well, we've made some very good analysis in the past, but I feel that this is unknown in terms of the cup run. I'm well aware. I
think my prediction is going to be 3-1 to Everton, and I reckon that it's either going to be 1-0 to Everton and then a quick equaliser, and then we'll finish them off, or it's going to be 1-0 to them. It'll give us a kick up the arse, and then we'll go on to smash them. So I'm going to say 3-1 to Everton. I'm
actually going to put mine on as a bet, as I did last game. I put 5-2 on, and it was nowhere near 5-2. But this game, I'm going to go for 7-0 Everton. Generally think it's going to be 7-0. Seriously, Jan, we're not going to penalties.
Those goals?
We're not going to penalties.
Those goals, though? Who's
anybody? Scoring? These ain't that good. Anybody can score these goals. But Michael Keane's probably going to score. Yeah. Michael Keane will score a header, I guarantee, if you play him.
To be fair, if Gray comes on, he's fantastic at making a few yards of space.
Yeah.
He was very unlucky not to size up, and he had a few good shots in the Forest game. There's
7-0.
We are quite a threat in terms of if we can beat the first man at corners. We're a lot
I haven't even had the nettles yet, mate, and I'm already saying 7-0. Dan's been on the thingy. Oh, right, it's going to be 7-0. So next time I'll do after the game. I'll be here. Come here in the comments and rip me if it's not 7-0. It is going to be 7-0. I'll put myself on the line. 7-0.
I'd love to know the returns on the bet you get on that. But
probably not much.
That, some people have said hashtag Jan out from the team. Some people have said hashtag Dan out from the team news. So at least I'm still here.
I reckon Jan's been going for Jan's been going for a coffee with Benitez with his team.
Oh dear. So 7-0 is an interesting one. But anyway, guys.
To be fair, Jan, your team's actually the same as mine, Jan. I think you're bang on, and I did think about Gabamin. But the problem is, Jan, a lot of these players, we don't know what we're doing with them, do we? Do you think they're going to ship out?
He's been on the bench in terms of the last, the league games. Yeah. So there has to be some kind of reason. Either we're touting him, flaunting him to go trying to sell him, or trying to see what he's got because he's on the books, and you got to look at it from a business point of view.
I like your team, Jan. Yours is basically the same as mine. I was just having banter with you. Do you know what I mean? Generally, we've put similar teams, so hopefully,
I would say the idea of the team is to rest some of the players, give some of the new signings a good chance to have a run out, and just try and gel some of the new players together. Obviously, we're still going for a win, and we're going to batter them. But I think it's to try and gel some of the new players together and give some of the youngsters a run out.
Right. Dave Weston seems to think 5-2. The bookies piss themselves when you walk in.
8-0.
Tolly Toffee Man, I think, is just outdoing you, saying 8-0.
150 to 1, 5-2 was. I put it on tenner. I would have been rich, but it wasn't meant to be. Everton let me down again. But yeah, 7-0 I'm going for. He's gone for 8-0. Let's hope Man United win today, because basically if Man United do win, Liverpool have got they're we're on level with them. What are they on? What have they done so far?
Look, 2 points, 2 draws. They drew against Palace 1-1.
Yeah, so Liverpool are only 1 point ahead of us. They're only 1 point ahead of us if they lose tonight. So let's hope they lose. So come on, Man United.
Because people might watch it on premium Sky, BT, something. But I don't want to talk about them, Dan.
I'm going to put my bets on. No, I'm only watching them to lose, mate. I want them to lose. Up the fucking Toffees. Man United are going to beat them. Come on.
Lovely to do this. First proper video with you, Jonathan. Lovely to talk with you, mate.
Yeah, pleasure. Here's to many more.
Dan,
Jonathan.
I'm going to go get me nettles. Thank you, everyone. Love you all.
Join us again for more previews and
like and subscribe, guys.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Pleasure, everyone. Have a good one.
Love you.